So Middlesbrough launched its investment prospectus in 2017, almost 3 years ago now, and we've had over £200 million worth of investment in the town in commercial, retail and housing since then, which is great. But the really exciting things are the things that you perhaps haven't seen yet, and they're the things that move along behind the scenes. The investment isn't here yet, but it's coming, and we're here today to talk about one of those, which is Boho X, or 10. We've got Andy and Ben to talk about those things. And those things that move behind the scenes have moved really, really quickly, although you haven't seen them over the last year. And that's down to Ben and the support of the combined authority and the drive that Andy brings and his commercial expertise. So there's great things that are going to happen in Middlesbrough, and this is just the first of them. Andy's got some exciting announcements to make today. I won't make them, Andy will make those. Ben's going to speak as well. I hope you enjoy the day. We've got lots of council officers around the room, so if you want to speak about the development afterwards, please do. Because we're open for business now. But without further ado, I'll hand on over to Ben.
Can everybody hear me? Is that really on? I'm deaf in one ear at the moment, so I apologise for that. It's not very often that I tend to turn up to events where I'm the support act. It's not something that politicians want to do very often, but I tend to find myself in this position when it comes to Andy. But it just shows the amount of work that Andy's doing and putting in since, it's less than a year ago that Andy got elected, but we've seen a huge change, I think, in attitude, in drive, and I think in vision that we have for the town. And I think that goes for the same across the whole of Teesside, Darlington and Hartlepool. We've made huge strides, I think certainly since the local elections, about what we can and can't do. And I think we're in a place now where we've got some really big, solid building blocks in place, the right pieces of infrastructure in place, that people like Andy and the other leaders across the region can really build upon to start to make that step change. Because I think, if we're all completely honest, for years and years and years, irrespective of political parties and who runs the council, actually the basics haven't been done well. We haven't had the right rail infrastructure, the road infrastructure, we haven't had the right public transport systems in place, we haven't had a successful local airport, we had a steelworks that was lurching from one crisis to another, and that meant huge numbers of people either uncertain of employment or out of work, which had massive impacts on things like our local high streets and our town centres. And I now think we're in a place where, one, we've saved our local airport and it's absolutely guaranteed safety for a minimum of 10 years with the business plan that we've put in place, but I'm quite happy that we will be seeing our airport thrive in 10 years' time and beyond, because we've already exceeded the expectations within our 10-year plan. It always said in that plan, when we said that we wanted to buy the airport, that we wouldn't see a single additional passenger going through it for the first 2 years after we bought it. Well, already, less than a year afterwards, we've launched 6 new flights, and hopefully in the coming weeks we'll see even more flights starting from our airport, which means we're well ahead of schedule. And then when you look at things like what happened last week with the steelworks site, and trust me, I've had the first weekend off and the first couple of days off I've had since Christmas. It's been one of the hardest things I've ever done, certainly negotiating with 3 Thai banks and SSI, who are very difficult characters to deal with, that we finally managed to get that deal over the line, where not only did we just own half of the site now, but we now own the full site. And now we've got that building block in place. You'll see later this week and in the coming weeks new announcements of actual investors signing on the dotted line, because we've resolved the land acquisition issues. And the reason that's important, and the reason they're big infrastructure and they're building blocks that we're putting in place, is that look what happened when SSI closed. 3,000 people out of work. That's not just the impact on those individuals and their families, but it's also the impact on the community. Look at Redcar High Street, look at Middlesbrough Town Centre. That's 3,000 fewer people with money in their pocket from a well-paid job, not just a low-paid minimum wage job, meaning that they have less money to spend in our high streets, which makes Andy's job and Shane's job and Mary's job in Redcar and East Cleveland much more difficult than it has to be, because the basics haven't been put right. And I'm also really pleased to be here because back in January 2019, so more or less this time last year, when we did approve finally to be able to buy the local airport, a lot of people didn't notice that we also said that we were going to spend just under £600 million over the next 10 years across the whole of the region. And that was things like £25 million to kickstart the Darlington station redevelopment, which has now got us into a place where I'm expectant and hopeful, touch wood, that the government will step up to the mark and put their hand in the pocket at the budget in March and give us the other £80 million that we need to completely redevelop that station. And Darlington Station isn't just about people in Darlington. If you redevelop that station, you can go from 2 trains an hour anywhere in the Tees Valley on the northern trains, which will soon be government controlled, you'll go from 2 trains an hour up to 8 trains an hour. So that's a proper public transport system. It might not be a metro, it's a semi-light rail system, but actually it makes public transport a genuine alternative for the first time in our region. Let's be honest, you as business people and other people in this room, you cannot rely on our local rail system to be able to get you anywhere. So you can't use that as a genuine alternative, whereas with these improvements, you will be able to make that choice. Your employees and other people looking for work across the whole of the region who might not be able to drive will also have that as a genuine alternative. And there was £20 million committed to the redevelopment of Middlesbrough Station, something that until we committed that money had been sat on the back burner for 5 years. You know, it was in 2014 that Virgin actually said, when they won that franchise, that they were going to introduce a new direct train from London to Middlesbrough. That was 2014, and nobody did anything about it. Nobody thought to think, is Middlesbrough fit for purpose to be able to take these new, long East Coast mainline trains? Because it's not. And actually with Andy and others coming in, those people with more of a focus on having got elected on the promises of making things better, and now around the table with me being able to say, well, what can we do to get this up and running by 2021? What can we do to make sure that there's maybe an alternative or an interim solution in place so we can get that direct train to London? And later this week we'll be announcing and physically launching, so people can use it, a new on-demand bus service. So if everybody goes onto their smartphones now and types in Teesflex on their app store, you'll be able to download the app to be able to call an Uber-style on-demand bus service for areas across the region that have never had a bus service for years and years and years. These are the building blocks that we can put in place. And then the final thing I want to say before introducing Andy is, at that same time, back in January 2019, as well as the big infrastructure, as well as those building blocks that have helped us make the great start that we've made as a region, we also did a huge amount of work with the local authorities to try and see what could we do to kickstart each local authority area to really make a change in its local economy. In Middlesbrough specifically, we gave £20 million to for a big seismic strategic investment, something that was going to hopefully create a step change in the local economy. And there was an idea of a new digital centre. And these plans have been around for quite some time. One, they didn't have the funding, so I was pleased to be able to provide it. But two, if anybody remembers the original plans for this, it was pretty underwhelming. It was another kind of general grade A office space, office block, with nothing really, there was no USP to it, there was nothing special about it, there was nothing that was really going to change the world. It was just an additional office space. And many people would have complained about that. Because we have excess space in the town, many people would say, but those aren't the things that are going to attract real change. So I'm pleased to be able to stand here with Andy, because the day that Andy came in, he came in and had a conversation about Boho Next Gen and what this was going to look like, and he completely tore up all of the plans that were in place, which I absolutely love. I love people like Andy because they think big, and I like working with people like Andy because he doesn't expect people like us and the town of Middlesbrough to settle for second best, and actually he does have ambition, he has optimism, and I think you can see that from these plans. If Andy was not your mayor in Middlesbrough, these plans would not be coming to fruition. They certainly wouldn't be as ambitious as they are, and I can guarantee you the announcements that are being made today by Andy would not be happening. So I just want to say thank you to Andy for all the work he's done for the 8-9 months that he's currently been in place, and I hope that Andy has a long successful future as mayor. I'm confident you'll enjoy the announcement today, and you'll see this come to fruition pretty quickly, and I hope to be able to work with Andy over the coming months and years ahead. So thank you very much, and I'd like to introduce Andy Preston.
Hello everyone, hi, can you hear me okay? Is it come out the speakers? Thanks very much. So actually, I want to return Ben's kind words, but say it is absolutely brilliant. And I've worked, in fact, this idea, I remember calling Ben about 5:30 on a Friday night, and I think he came over to our office and looked at the plans. He was dead excited and motivated and feeling that sort of spirit of ambition and enterprise, and we were sat there and Tony Parkinson was there. And then Ben called his chief exec, who was out shopping, I think, at the time. She might be at Teesside Park or something. Or she was buying a house. She was viewing houses and sort of said, in a nice way, get over here, we need to do some stuff. And we sat there for a while. And that's what's going on, is this new energy and spirit across the whole area, which I think to be fair, Ben started. Ben was the first new kind of politician to come along in the last few years. So it's a very exciting year for me. It's a privilege to be involved. Ambition was mentioned. This is all about ambition. There is zero reason on God's earth why we should accept anything that isn't brilliant. It is the case that sometimes things take time and there are financial constraints. We all know that we'd like the streets cleaner, we'd like more police, we'd like more street wardens, we'd like better services, and that is a massive challenge. Believe it or not, what we're going to show you today is going to help deal with that, because this ambition, this energy, this business magnet that's going to happen is going to bring in business rates and people in town spending, people in town shopping, and it's going to actually give us more money to spend on services to protect vulnerable people. Which is exactly what a business should do. Okay. So, Ben talked about what was kind of this loose idea before, and the reason this looks like a drawing that someone's done in an afternoon is because that's what it was. People will say there was a big plan to do this already, that categorically there wasn't. There was a vague idea to build a building in the area, and basically this was drawn. But it was many years away from anything happening in a meaningful way. There wasn't the money there, and there wasn't a clear plan, and there wasn't a time frame. Without a deadline, you never do anything, do you? You always have to set a deadline, whether you're training to get fit or you're trying to do something special, you have to have a deadline. So we tore that up. We've got a digital sector. I want to explain that, is that sometimes our PR people across our region get a bit carried away and talk about our digital sector as being this colossal powerhouse that's doing amazing things. And we have some brilliant businesses, and in the room today we've got Rich Bendelow and Dean Benson, who founded VisualSoft 21 years ago, I understand, about the same time as Google, and so you've got a bit of growth left in you. And but they have done incredibly well. They formed something which now employs 300 people, born and bred Teesside, 300 people working here, living here, earning great money, spending money. How fantastic is that for our economy? But we need 5 or 50 or 500 VisualSofts if we're going to be the powerhouse that we deserve to be. The truth is about our digital sector, it's about okay. It is actually on par with our physical and population size. So we're punching at our weight. That's the truth. We can do so much better with a strong uni, a really strong college that's doing these digital T-levels that I'm going to talk about. Middlesbrough College is going to start teaching 16 to 18-year-olds digital skills. And just beside Middlesbrough College is a brand new school. It's open this September, but the physical building won't exist for 2 years or 3 years. And all academies these days, they've got a focus, haven't they? Whether it's maths or drama or sport. Well, the focus of this academy, this free school, is digital. So we're going to have the only school, FE college, uni and digital campus that can work together in the whole of the country. So when there's a monstrous skills shortage out there in digital skills, we are going to be uniquely, literally, uniquely placed in the United Kingdom to deal with that. So it's very, very exciting. Leeds and Newcastle are bigger than us. Newcastle is exactly twice the size of Middlesbrough, whichever way you measure it. If you measure it at conurbation or city council or whatever, whichever way you look at it, Newcastle's twice the size. About 30 years ago, it had about 3 times the infrastructure we have. Now it's got about 10 times the infrastructure. And its tech scene has gone crazy. It's infinitely bigger. We need to catch them up. And the good news is that we can. Okay. This is our building. It's a campus building with a monstrous tower that's going to stand out from wherever you are on Teesside, whether you're on Rosebery Topping, on the A19 flyover, or you're somewhere in Billingham. You will see this from miles around. 20 stories. Now, right now, Middlesbrough hosts the tallest office building in the northeast. And this will be bigger. This building will be the biggest office building between Leeds and Glasgow. There won't be a taller office building. And it's an expression of our ambition, and it's an expression of how precious the land around this is going to be. The land around this is going to be so valuable that we don't want to spread out. We want to keep it for the next building, and the next one, and the next one after that. It's going to have exceptional facilities, like nothing within 100 miles of here. And the whole project is to be £250 million across the whole of this area. £250 million. Can we go back to the last slide, please? £250 million. The first phase is £45 million. That includes this exceptional, unique building and 2 20-storey residential towers for people that want to live and work in this unique, special area. And for that, we've got 30 million in the bank. It's cash there. We got a bunch of money from the Combined Authority, worked with Ben, and Ben was very excited and pledged the large chunk of that. This is an impression here, so you can see what these are going to look like. We've got we're in the north of the town here, looking south. You can see the town hall up there with the clock. You can see the tallest office building in the north east, built in 1970, built as Corporation House, and it's like the old Corporation Hotel. You can see the train station. That's really relevant. Ben talked about direct trains and whatever else. Direct trains are coming. Within 9 months, you'll be able to get trains from here. You'll be able to work here, actually, when this is completed. Walk there in a minute, and you'll be able to get a direct train to London, or Manchester, or Liverpool, or Leeds, or York, or Doncaster. But more importantly, people that want to come and see you, people that want to come and buy stuff from us, buy services, people that we want to get spending money, they can get here dead easy, and they can walk around the corner. These are the residential towers. This is the office building with an amazing campus. There's going to be loads of parking, right? I've been involved in office space for long enough to know that the first question anyone ever asks me when I talk about offices is, what's the parking like? Where do I park? So I want to get across that this isn't a dream. This isn't a goal or an ambition. This is actually happening now. Today, the planning app is going in today, a full planning app for this building and this campus, and an outline planning app for the 2 residential towers. That's actually being submitted this morning at 9 a.m. Work will start in about August, and it'll take a maximum of 2 years. So by 2022, the Middlesbrough skyline, the Teesside skyline, will have changed forever, completely. People that come here or fly past or drive past will see us really differently with these 3 skyscrapers out of the ground. We've missed out on a building boom. There's a colossal building boom, a global one, that started in about 2000 and finished with the big recession in 2008. If you go outside of our region, you will see the amount of new building that took place, whether you go to Leeds or Liverpool or Leicester or Llandudno. It doesn't matter where you go. New buildings sprung out of the ground everywhere. It didn't really happen here. Now is our time to start catching up. So I talked about the building being unique and different, and it absolutely is. I'm going to show you something, some slides. What makes Boho X, as I like to call it, special? Okay. So, a bunch of the offices will have big roof terraces with incredible views and amazing opportunities. I mean, look at that. That's not just something from a brochure that will probably never happen. That's absolutely. Someone will rent this office, someone will have direct access to this terrace, and others will have access to different terraces, and this is the scale of it, and you could put whatever you want. You could have pool tables, you could build a bar, you could do whatever you wanted on there. Can't guarantee the weather, but there will be days like that. You're going to have an in-house cinema, 20 seats. So if you want to show off what you do, you've got a corporate video, you've got some staff training you want to do, you can use this as a small lecture theatre, you can watch Wimbledon, you can do all sorts. You can hire it at weekends, you could use it free sometimes. There isn't a building nearby with this scale of facility in there. What makes Boho X special? Offices for everyone. We'll have offices of all kinds of size, all right? So what we want is an ecosystem. So we want huge companies. Just talking with Richard there a second ago, and he was talking about hoping to, when it opens, have a really big office for a growing business. There might be some big nationals that want to come here and take a huge office. But you can have a small office. This would be a 3 to 5 person corner office, all kinds of businesses. Could be an established 30-year-old company. It could be a brand new startup. It could be an office, a subsidiary office. This is the kind of thing that's available. Whatever you want, this building can offer it for you. What makes Boho X special? Best views in the world. So, this will be the only office building offering this incredible view of the Transporter. That's actually life-size. You'll be looking down on it. The Transporter dominates our skyline, doesn't it? Well, this building is going to be hugely taller, massively taller. And you'll be looking down on it, the river, the views across here to the hills. You'll see the sea. You see the wind farms way out at sea. You see the coastline. You'll see Hartlepool, Redcar, the Cleveland Hills, Rosebery Topping, across to the Yorkshire Dales, all over Teesside. It's going to be exceptional views. What makes Boho X so special? Okay, room for everyone. So something that we're going to do is have offices of all kinds. We're going to have hot desking and co-working, which I'll touch on later, which makes access to this building and the unique facilities, not just the best in Teesside, the best from probably more than 100 miles, accessible and available to everyone. Doesn't matter how big your business is. If your ambition is big enough, you can come in here and enjoy it. It's going to be really good value. So, in Centre Square, in the very centre of Middlesbrough, we are now letting offices and high quality buildings, and we're achieving rents of £18 a foot, which may or may not sound a lot. It's actually nothing, it's dead cheap. Round here, our office market is a bit broken, and we have by far the cheapest rents out of any significant conurbation. We are currently charging about £18 a foot in central Middlesbrough for the very best office space. In Leeds, you pay 38 quid a foot. In London, it's 88 to 188. In Newcastle, central, you pay £28 a foot. And here in this building, a better building than either of these cities could dream of in the next few years, a way better building, we're going to be charging rents from 18 quid a foot. So not only is it fantastic, not only is it here, it's also incredibly affordable. We're going to have an executive floor, and the idea there is that if you want a 3 to a 5 person office and you really want to impress your clients, we're going to have an office for you. We're going to have a meeting room which you've got direct access to on your secure floor. You can have direct access to a kitchen and diner that's stocked. The place is going to be cleaned for you, and we'll give you an all-inclusive rent that includes literally everything. And an office like this, which would be 3 to 5 persons, will be £299 a week, and that includes rent, rates, utilities, broadband, and access to all the meeting rooms. I think that's an amazing price. And when people come and visit you and see your office and see your views, they are going to be amazed. And actually already, in my opinion, a law firm that I use personally, called Endeavour, they are our area's top law firm, in my opinion, certainly for commerce, and they are seeking to be in the building, and they have agreed to come into the building. They're renting an office and they've paid a deposit. That's how keen and excited they are by this proposition. We're going to have a collaboration floor. I showed you this picture before. It's about co-working. So if you're a one-woman band, a one-man band, or perhaps 2 of you, perhaps you'd like to come and use the facilities, use a desk, but you don't need an office, you don't want an office. Maybe you don't have the budget, but you want to be part of this exceptional thing that's happening here in the centre of Middlesbrough. So you can use this, you can have a desk, You can use the meeting rooms. You can use the cafe. You can maybe use the gym, the cycle storage, and all the other facilities from 29 quid a week. Just 29 quid a week. Every single business in Teesside can afford that. The neighbourhood where this is based, you're on the edge of the town centre. If you want to go to M&S and buy a, I don't know, pair of socks, pair of pants, whatever, it's literally 2 minutes walk away. If you want to go to the train station, it's a minute's walk away. All of the shops are within 2.5 minutes walk. But we're putting new stuff in. This neighbourhood's going to be incredible, it's going to be healthy, it's going to be beautiful, and it's going to be really vibrant. And we're going to build a farm. We're going to build a farm. It's not a dream, it's happening. We've agreed with a charity called the Camp Hill Village Trust. They already operate these growing areas across the country. They've got 2 in our area. They've got one at Larchfield and they've got one at Bottom Village out in East Cleveland somewhere. And they want to build one in an urban environment. So we're going to work with them. There's going to be growing areas. There's going to be chickens. There's going to be bees. There's going to be a cafe there. And the public are involved. We're working with volunteers, some vulnerable adults, all kinds of different people are going to get involved in this project. And this growing area, right, this healthy green space amid these skyscrapers is going to be sited just the other side of the old town hall, if you know where that is. What's beautiful, what I love about this, is that Middlesbrough in 1829, there was nothing here except a farmhouse. Literally nothing except a farmhouse. And this is going to be within 50 metres of the site of the original farmhouse. So where they were growing crops and farming and subsisting, we're going to be doing the same 180 years later. I'm really pleased about that. This is going to be a place to live. We don't want an office park where people drive in and drive out. Live in, I don't know, Ingleby or Wynyard or Hartlepool or wherever, 6 to 10 miles away. That's no good for anyone. There's nothing wrong with doing that if that's what you do. But there's been this global phenomenon of re-urbanization which has happened from the biggest cities like Manhattan, New York, to places that are much smaller, and it's completely passed us by. And it's passed us by because we haven't built the kind of properties that people want to live in. If you're 26 or 36 or 46 and you want to buy somewhere to live, there is nothing in an urban setting in Teesside that offers you what you want. There's only suburban stuff. So we're going to create the product, right? We're going to get thousands of new people living in the centre of Middlesbrough. We're going to start with 2 buildings. They're going to be like this. Outline planning application is going in on these today. About 120 apartments. These 2 buildings are going to be linked. There'll be a foyer, a small art gallery, lockers for deliveries, and there will be a concierge service. And they will be completed either just before or at the same time as the office building. So I want to summarise what we're doing here is we're resetting the standards. We're doing something that Newcastle and Leeds, Sunderland and Bradford and Hull and all these places really don't have. We're creating something of genuinely exceptional ambition, exceptional quality, and exceptional power. And these are some of the features, right? We're going to have a helipad. Genuinely, we've got a helipad here for VIPs and Dean Bent. Where's Dean Bent? There he is. Dean has demanded that he is the first person ever to use the helipad. So we're going to have a helipad here. And the thinking there is, first of all, it doesn't cost a lot of extra money. But secondly, if we really want big government officials and we really want big business figures, especially in certain sectors, they are very unlikely to get the train up from London. It's much easier for them to come in via helicopter, and we want them to come here. I think we'll probably use it 4 times a year. I don't think it's going to be every day, but maybe 4 times a year. But they're going to come in right into the heart of Middlesbrough, which is really exciting. We're going to have a lecture theatre, a 200-seater lecture theatre. So if you want to talk to your staff, if you want to put on some event, you want to showcase what you do, you want to host a conference, we're going to have a 200-seater lecture theatre in this building. We're going to have 750-seat event space out the back. Whether that's in this phase or whether it's a later one isn't clear yet. We're just refining costs. But that's absolutely going to happen. All kinds of arts events, music, comedy, drama. The cinema we talked about, there's going to be a gym, a licensed cafe bar, landscaped areas outside like an amphitheatre for performances, meeting rooms and breakout spaces all over the building. Secure bike storage. We love everyone cycling if they can. And one of the things is you want to be able to keep your bike safe, right? So there's going to be very secure bike storage. Loads of parking. No one's going to have to worry about parking at all. 60 seconds to get on a direct train to London or Manchester, and not just those places, but Leeds, Liverpool, York, Doncaster, Newcastle. So people can get to you. Imagine being able to say, come and see me, there's a train at this time, and I'm literally a minute from the station. People are going to want to come on the train. They're going to want to come from London to see you. 20 minutes to Teesside Airport, which is growing, more flights, going to be easier for people to get here, which is great news. And by the time this is completed in 2022, I wouldn't be surprised we've got direct links to a bunch of new cities, making it really easy for people to come and see us and do business and buy stuff from us. This is the most important thing for me. It's office sizes and prices for everyone. This isn't about hugely expensive offices for the biggest companies and everyone else can F off. This is about an environment, an ecosystem that has the startups, the one-person startup, to the 300-person mature business. And everybody's engaging and interacting and learning and sharing. Everybody's using the gym and the cycle storage and the cafe and the cinema. And you're learning from each other and doing business. That's really important. Doing business with each other. We want more business done here and less business going out of the area. There's way too much of that. Okay, this building is really popular, right? That sounds bizarre, doesn't it? It doesn't even exist, right? It was really popular before we even put in a plan yet, right? There's a bunch of really strong local companies that have come to me and said, can I please have an office in this building? I want to reserve an office. And talk is cheap, right? Talk is cheap, but money's very precious. So we said, okay, fine, you can reserve an office, fine, but you have to pay some money. And they did. So look what we've got. We've got like, I mentioned VisualSoft earlier. There's also a business called Northern Stable. Northern Stable, currently based on Albert Road, and they fund and nurture other businesses. There's some really exciting businesses coming out of Northern Stable, like Salesfire, Social Allies, and all kinds of other businesses. I hope they all grow to be 500, 600, 700 people. Maybe they can. There's a really exciting thing going on in central Middlesbrough. So I'm so pleased that two of these businesses are coming into the centre of town. Middlesbrough College. They're only around the corner, but Middlesbrough College, absolutely, Zoe is committed to immersing the students, the staff and the college into this new culture, this new spirit of enterprise, ambition and definitely achievement. Middlesbrough College are involved. Logic Architecture have done some of this amazing work. They've committed, they've paid a deposit, they're coming in the building too, like the others. I mentioned Endeavour Partnership as well. There are several others who admin-wise, sadly for the rush that we've had, we haven't been able to collect deposits from them, but several others that I could announce who haven't yet paid a deposit. Like, this building is the biggest office building to be built forever in this region, and it's going to fill up fast, and I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited about this. So if you are interested, get in quick. Get in touch and get in here quickly. That's 95% of everything I'm going to say. I could talk all day and all night about this, but I've tried to keep it short and punchy. Got any questions? Anybody got any questions? Anyone feeling brave? Steve?
Will it be built and serviced by local companies, so we can keep the money locally?
That's a good question. Will it be built and serviced by local companies? That is absolutely the goal. Now, what we have to do, of course, is we have to balance giving the work local with getting a good price. It doesn't have to be the best price even, but a good price. And that's something we will balance, and we absolutely want the stated goal and set again in front of everybody here. We want this work, every single bit of it, to go to local businesses. And the architect, for example, we work with is Mark, so Mark come in late, Mark Boho from Logic Architecture. Well, they're local, and people said to me that they're too small. They've never done a project like this before. But we have loads of confidence in Mark, and we are crystal clear, 100% determined to give every scrap of business that we can out to local businesses. We're already upping the amount we do, and I don't have the number to hand. Actually, Tony might know. I saw Tony a second ago.
41%.
And what was it previously?
About 32.
So in the last year or so, we've gone from giving, Middlesbrough Council has gone from giving 32% of its business out to Teesside businesses to 41. And there's more room in that, isn't there? We're never going to get all the way there for various reasons. But if we get to 50, how fantastic is that? How many more millions will be cycling through the economy, going to the site to shop and all of this stuff? That's what we all want, right? Any other questions?
I've got another one.
Oh, go on.
Sorry. There's 3 other landmark buildings in Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
There's Corporation House that you've mentioned, Church House, and there's the old ABC Cinema Crown building, which is a big eyesore because it's a main route in. Is anything happening with those?
So they are eyesores. Been asked the question about 3 other landmark buildings that are a blot on the landscape, frankly. You know, you've got 2 big empty office blocks and 1 big empty former cinema. Well, unfortunately for me and for us, the council doesn't own or control any of those. However, we are in the process, like near the end of the process, of doing something absolutely significant with the biggest one of those, which is Centre North East, the big tall glass office building. We will be, keep pushing the owners of the other buildings to do something, but obviously right now I can only do what's directly under my control. And I believe all those buildings can have a future. It will involve investment by the owners, but I will believe all of us will have a future. But the good news is that Centre North East, the tallest office building in the northeast of England, which is currently empty, been empty for 10 years. I'm confident that within 6 weeks we can announce that is coming back to life with a new future, and it will look fantastic. Someone else had it, was there? Dean.
Hi Andy, just wanted to say on behalf of me, Visual Soft Digital Companies, a huge congratulations, massive amount of work in, so well done.
Thank you. It has been a massive amount of work, and Mark Barlow, the architect, has done an amazing job, and I think all of your staff have been sort of like doing long hours and under stress, and I was going to say I'm sorry for that, but I'm not, because do you know why? Because we've got something special. So I think what we've achieved so far, Dean, is fantastic, but we're 2 steps out of a 10-step journey to this extraordinary achievement, and we're 2 steps there, and the 3rd step will be in another few weeks. Idris, you were going to say something.
Yeah, and you got a lot of details on the Boho X, the 2 residential towers. What sort of demand do you think there will be for that, and what sort of clientele do you think will be purchasing or living in those?
Okay, so what demand will we have? What kind of clientele, what kind of people are going to live in those 2 residential towers? Well, I think there'll be loads of scepticism, loads of people saying, oh, who's going to live in central Middlesbrough? I've seen towns and cities all over the world transform. There is a massive appetite for urban living, but you have to offer safety, it has to feel safe. You have to offer the right product, it has to be good quality, and it has to be near decent amenities. And this will have that. So I think we are going to attract youngish, I say youngish, am I youngish? Probably not, but younger than me, people who probably work in this sector or a creative sector, and they want to be near work, and they want to have views, access to facilities, awesome transport links, be near the shops, be near the cinema, be near bars, be near restaurants. from where I'm stood now, if you draw a line 6 miles around us, there's almost 500,000 people. That's a city the size of, actually probably slightly bigger than Edinburgh or Bristol. And unlike those places, we have no one choosing to come and live in the centre. All we need is a tiny percent. If 1% of our conurbation decides, yeah, I'll move into the centre of Middlesbrough, and they decide that over the next 5 or 6 years, we will absolutely transform this place beyond all recognition. 0.5% will be fantastic. We can absolutely do that. This is 120 apartments. Somewhere else of this size will probably have 5,000 to 8,000 apartments in the centre of their conurbation. So this is just a tiny step. So I think we'll get youngish people in certain sectors. But what we'll find over time, as people get used to living in the centre, all the people will move in. Right now in the centre of Newcastle, it didn't happen 10 years ago, people aged over 65 are moving in because it's convenient, it's easy, it's near the bus routes, it's near the shops, it's near their leisure activities, and that's what we'll find. But the first people to move are always the younger people involved in creative industries. Yes, sir?
Andy, I think it's great, the office blocks you said about the all-inclusive rate. When we started and launched our business in 1997, we started off in Broadcasting House, in a very similar one office, all inclusive, the rent, the rates, the amenities, which was, and it was an address for us, but it was it's good that you're thinking about that for future companies, because sometimes you need a stepping stone. You know, it might just be for a few years, but it gets you on the ladder. So,
that's a good point about that flexibility, that ease, right? So we want to make it easy for people. We want people to make a decision, make it easy for them. So if you want a big office with 200 staff, you're going to have to sign. The good news is you can be in the best building, possibly in the country right now when it's launched, right? And it will be the cheapest in the country too. But the bad news is you're going to have to sign for 5 years, maybe 10. You have to commit. You'll commit to us, we'll commit to you. If you're a smaller business, 1 person, 3 people, 5 people, 7 people, you can get an office and you can leave whenever you want. Just got to give us 6 months notice. You can come in, stay for 10 years, stay for 10 weeks, 10 days, just give us 6 months notice and you can leave. So we're making it really, really easy for people. And when you start out, you need that flexibility, don't you? Long-term commitments can terrify startup businesses. Any more questions? Andrew?
Andy, how far along is the development of the railway station then? It's going to be this side, isn't it, for the London train?
Ben is actually the best placed person to talk about that.
Yeah, so just very quickly on Middlesbrough Station, we're playing a whole lot of catch-up since 2014 because of the work that hasn't been done. But we're still expecting to be able to introduce the direct train to London by 2021, middle of 2021. That's probably going to be an interim solution because we'll have started the platform works, the undercroft works. There's a reconfigure of the station, moving toilets, making the entrance much more attractive. So an upgrading of the station will have happened and it'll be complete at the back end of 2021, very beginning of 2022, which is why we're asking government and Network Rail to figure out an interim solution that allows us to still have that direct train for a period of time, knowing that the platform extension is going to happen just a few months after.
And when do the direct trains start then?
We think second quarter of 2021 if we can hit our deadline.
Great. So just over a year away, we'll have direct trains a minute from this site. Any more questions?
Andy, has any office space been earmarked for the Treasury?
Well, I was speaking to Boris Johnson last night, and what we agreed is that they're going to come into this building. No. Well, if people don't know, there was a thing in, I think, the Sunday Times that the Treasury, or the new Treasury, the new Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, is looking to relocate a bunch of the Treasury's jobs and execs and officers out of central London and into the north, and in particular Teesside was mentioned in the Sunday Times. How much truth there is in it, I don't know. I hope so. I think it makes sense. I think politically it would be a great move for them. And obviously I will be talking about central Middlesbrough as the best location for them on that, for various reasons, but not least because of the direct trains to and from every major city that are starting in just over a year away. We're going to have the space to build the offices, the awesome transport links, and Boris, if he wants to come and visit, has got a helipad to make it dead easy. Any?
Am I allowed to ask another one, Andy?
Yes, one
Sorry
more.
to be a pain. If we're to attract the Treasury or loads and loads of businesses into Middlesbrough, we need to improve the image of the town, because it nationally and locally it has a bad image, and it also has a high percentage of undesirables hanging about. We need to solve that first, and is there any plans to work on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's been pointed out is this perception of central Middlesbrough locally, nationally and internationally, and I think the perception is sometimes fair, sometimes unfair. There is definitely a problem there. What are we doing about it? Well, the first thing I did when I was elected, I sound like a politician now, don't I? I never thought I'd say that line. The first thing I did when I was elected was I found some money. It was actually money coming from Ben's organisation, the Combined Authority for Regeneration. Now that normally means physical buildings and solid things you can touch. But we worked with them and found a way to use some of that money to employ more street wardens. And we spent several months recruiting more wardens. There used to be loads of coppers in central Middlesbrough, and they were all pulled out. They were all pulled out because the police decided they didn't like the community police and they wanted to do other things with the officers. At the same time, the number of street wardens in central Middlesbrough went from 80 odd down to 12. So there was a sense amongst the community that live, work and shop in the centre of town that things were getting out of control. There was a sense there were no consequences of bad action, and there was a sense that the bad guys could do whatever they wanted and nothing happened. So the first thing I did was to work with Ben and his group, and we managed to find a way of using some of that money to recruit wardens. So we spent months recruiting them, we spent months training them, and they're now on the streets. And absolutely we have some problems, but absolutely we have less begging. And by the way, please don't give money to beggars in the street. Do give money to homelessness charities and charities that look after people, organisations that feed desperate people, support food banks, look after people. Do not give money to beggars in the street. I promise you that money almost always goes on drugs and fuels crime and literally kills the person begging. I've been to funerals of prolific beggars who have been given 1 quid, 2 quid, 50p by people passing, thinking, oh, I'll be nice, and it's killed them. And it's led to more crime, more fear for people that try and live a decent life. So we're clamping down on that. Behaviour is improving. Slowly we're getting the streets cleaner. Steve is spot on. It's pointless putting new buildings up if you're not improving the look and the feel of the place. And we're working on that, and that's a medium-term thing too. But the good news is that didn't start today. That started 7 months ago, and we are getting there. Somebody here was going to ask a question. Sorry, I can't. Yes, Gavin.
What size internet are we going to have?
You tell me. You're the expert. What would be appropriate?
2 different connections from 2 different supplies, 100 gigs. Let's make it big.
Is it, yeah?
You can get 10 gigs, but I don't know. I think with the building being so big.
So two different connections from 2 different suppliers. Top of the end, 2 different connections from 2 different suppliers. 100 gig.
Yeah, definitely from me.
Okay, well that sounds good to me. I'm no expert. That sounds good. Let's follow up that conversation. We absolutely categorically we cannot launch this and have decent broadband connectivity. We can't even have good connectivity. We need the best connectivity. So I'm guaranteeing you that. Gavin's guaranteeing you that at a very good price.
Very good.
Okay, any more questions? I think we're about done. There might be one more slide, is there? Okay. I want to talk about now all kinds of businesses can come in this building, and I've talked already, right? We're going to have technology businesses, we're going to have investment businesses, we're going to have a college is going to have a presence there. We are going to have an architect, we're going to have a law firm, we're going to have all kinds of businesses. We're going to have a really healthy ecosystem. A healthy village is a village where you get lots of people there. From different occupations and different backgrounds. And a healthy office building, healthy economy has got all kinds of different businesses. But we're particularly talking about the tech sector. That's what we're on about here. The tech sector, and taking us from punching at our weight to punching way above our weight, way above it. And something that's going to really propel that is a new thing, the Tees Tech Awards. Brand new. Tyneside doesn't have a Tyneside Tech Awards. There are regional ones, but there aren't any sub-regional or city ones. So we are, to my knowledge, the first people to have our own Tech Awards. Tees Tech Awards, launched by the people behind Tees Business. Dave Allen over there. Give us a wave, Dave. So this is really exciting. You see all the people involved with this, some law firms and all kinds of professional practices that are sponsoring awards. If anybody here wants to enter, please do, and you absolutely should. It's going to be a great event. It's going to put Teesside on the map. It's going to be great publicity for your business. I think that is it. All I'll do is I'll finish by saying that I'm bang on time. It's 3 minutes past 9, bang on time, and I have never been so motivated, so excited, so ambitious, and so determined in my whole life. We are on a fast track to extraordinary success, and all that's needed is the planning app and the will. And the planning app goes in today, and I promise we've got the will. So I'd ask everybody here to be excited about this, to talk about it, to question it, to challenge it if you want. If you're interested in an office, get in touch with me. We've got a bunch of council staff here who are going to be by the door as you leave. Give us a wave, Debbie. Debbie can take your details and come back if you've got any questions about offices. They're going to be extraordinarily affordable and categorically the best for 100 miles. Get involved. It's a new future. It's an exciting time. And we absolutely deserve to compete with Newcastle and Leeds. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Thank you for coming. Thanks for getting up early. Cheers. Thank you.